So Watches and Wonders has finished for another year, and we've obviously got a whole host of new watches. It's fun being in a situation where you've got so many things to do, so many appointments to attend, so many watches to capture. When I shoot a video, I like to take my time over it. It can often take me an hour to set up lighting and a day to capture the watch itself, and then you've got all the editing, and that has to be condensed massively into such a short time. Appointments can be 20 minutes long, half an hour long. They can be up to an hour long, but even that hour alone is still quite challenging. But I do like the problem solving of going into a room and suddenly having to just create lighting, create a scene with very little time, and you just got to get on with it. And I quite like that. Anyway, here are some of the watches that really stood out for me, and not all of them that I got hands-on with. To start off with is actually Patek. Patek have had a funny year with the launch of the Cubitus. It didn't go down, I assume, as they thought it would. They've launched a new version of the Cubitus, a smaller 40mm, although they're calling a 40mm Cubitus medium, which obviously implies there's going to be a small, but I kind of feel like a 40mm square watch is big. But that's not actually one of the watches that stood out. It's still an odd looking watch. The one that stood out is this new Calatrava, the reference 6196. This is going back to the really beautiful, very classy case size of 38mm, a kind of under radar wealth aspect of it with it being in platinum. And then you've got this beautiful rose gilt dial. All of this just screams class, traditional Patek, understated, a kind of quiet watch that at the same time screams stunningness. But then they've got blacked out anthracite white gold hands and indices, which I find is quite an odd choice. If these had just been plain white gold, this would have been just pure perfection and kind of how I see Patek. So I, at the same time, love and dislike this watch because of the black hands and indices. Before I forget, our beautiful enamel mugs are back in stock over at barkandjack.com, along with our limited edition grey on grey strap. This is our grey ribs nylon with grey matte PVD coated hardware. Stunning straps over at barkandjack.com. Another watch that stood out to me that I think is stunning, and I'm kind of annoyed I didn't get hands on with it, but there's only so many things that you can cover, is a new Cartier tank with their jump hour complication. This isn't technically a new watch, I guess, because it's a reissue or a reinterpretation of a watch that they launched back in 1928. What I love about this watch is how much it just displays the 1920s era, the 1930s era of watch design and jewelry design with this heavily brushed gold case, with the beautifully polished chamfered edges of the case. And I don't know how to explain how pleasing the hour aperture and the minute apertures are. There's just something kind of industrial about it. The whole thing's just executed perfectly, apart from the one that's a bit wonky, the limited edition in platinum that's on its side. I find that a bit odd. But the normal one, absolutely love this thing. Bremont had a funny year last year with the launch of their new Terra Nova range and of course the logo change as well. I was kind of hoping that they were gonna backtrack on that decision. The logo is really letting themselves down. They've come up with a whole host of new watches. These guys could have had their own event. They've launched so many new watches. They've got dive watches. They've extended the Terra Nova range, a lot of them being done in bronze. They've got their own jump hour in bronze and Terra Nova, which isn't quite as good looking as the Cartier version. The whole motivation around changing the logo, which they said to me, was the logo had propellers as part of the logo, and they felt like that was saying, oh, we're an aviation brand. And so they wanted to move away from that connection. But then, of course, they've gone ahead and launched a whole aviation range. That being said, the new altitude range does look good. I like the fact they've used the MB case with the very complex case makeup, but it's a very cool case and very much Bremont. And I do like the 3D numerals that they have within the layout. And of course, it's an aviation style watch, and I'm a sucker for things like that. They just need to change the logo again. Tag Heuer have had an interesting year. Of course, they've got the sponsorship of F1 back. And so they had a new booth fully kitted out with F1 stuff. They had 2 F1 cars there, and then in the background they had a whole load of F1 bits and bobs going on. And then they've gone and launched a new interpretation of the Formula One watch. And I kind of feel like they've missed a massive opportunity there. I'm going to do a dedicated video on that watch range and getting hands-on with it. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on the new videos that are going to be coming out. Talking about new videos coming out, Nomos had a massive year. I got hands-on with their new world timer, the Club Sport world timer. Absolutely stunning. I'm kind of obsessed. That was the watch that I left thinking that is absolutely amazing. World's thinnest world timer from Nomos. Again, there's going to be a dedicated video coming out on these things. I am annoyed that the really cool, the awesome colorways that they have are all limited edition, and they're probably all sold out already, which is a real shame. But that watch is fantastic. IWC had a big year as well, extending their engineer range. I've done a dedicated video on that. I'll put that in the link down in the description. But one thing that I didn't see, I only noticed as I'd left Watches and Wonders, is they've done a new version of their Pilot's Watch 41, the Top Gun. They've done it in their Lake Tahoe ceramic. This is incredible, and I wish I'd seen it when I'd been there. So it's got a 41mm white ceramic case, a white rubber strap, and this matte black dial. It's got the same movement that's in the Mark 20, and this costs £7,300. Really quite a sexy watch. I do want to see IWC doing more display case backs, because when they do a display case back, it is stunning. But this watch, I love high contrast watches, and you can't get more high contrast than matte white and matte black. Vacheron Constantin really did flex their watchmaking ability at this show with the most complicated wristwatch ever. This is called the Solaria Ultra Grand Complication, and it has 41 complications inside. It's got 6 time functions, it's got 8 perpetual calendar functions, it's got 3 lunar indications, 14 astronomical indications, 5 chiming functions, 4 split-second chronographs with 2 column wheels, and it's made up of 1,521 components. Inside it has 204 jewels, and with all of this, it still has a power reserve of 72 hours. It is absolutely massive at 45mm wide. It's 14.99mm thick and is made out of 18 karat white gold. So this is massive, heavy, and epically complicated. But hats off to them for executing this in a way that is sexy and modern and interesting, and I guess somewhat quite wearable, in contrast to Patek's Grand Complication, which I think I would just prefer the styling of Vacheron versus Patek. I'm not going to talk about Tudor and Rolex's releases because I've already done it. I've done dedicated videos on both of those brands, and just like with the IWC, I'll put a link in the description down below for those videos, so check them out if you haven't done it already, although you're probably well up to speed on what those guys have launched. And with Tudor, Rolex, and all of these watches that I've mentioned, what's been your highlight of Watches and Wonders, or maybe a watch that I haven't mentioned? What have I missed from Watches and Wonders? And what do you guys want a dedicated video on? Which watches should I spend some time with and do a full length video on? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button. If you like the style of this video, then hit the subscribe button down there and that little bell icon so you get notifications when I drop a new video. If you're on Instagram, give me a follow at Bark and Jack. And if you want to check out mugs and watch straps, jump over barkandjack.com. I think that's it. I'm going to go get some sleep. Take care, guys.